What's going on, Pizza Man? We're back in the damn building. I hope everybody is, of course, blessed. Good morning to all as well. Guys, make sure, of course, you're smashing the like, you're sharing, and you're subscribing to the channel, man. Obviously, look, big up to everybody. We've seen the situation with Lyon recently. So obviously everyone's been getting a little bit giddy, as they should, in terms of potential players that, we could, take from Lyon. But today I just wanted to really rap about, some of the things that's kind of going on with Lyon, the kind of impact it's going to have on both them and Crystal Palace as well, which is actually quite interesting to see, what the dealio is with Crystal Palace now, especially with the ownership, and what does that then mean in terms of them playing in, Europa League next season? Is it going to happen? Of course, we'll just have to, wait and see, man. Big up Mustafa in the building. I hope you're doing blessed this morning. Yep, it's true. It is, excuse me, it's hot. It is sad in terms of Lyon getting relegated. Obviously, we've had Bordeaux as well before they, of course, got themselves relegated. Fofana and their striker Mikawatse will leave. Yet potentially, it's mad because we'll take a look at their transfers as well that they've done. So the owner, is it John Textor? I think he came in December of 2022. So since 2022 or 2023, shall we say, if you look at some of the signings that they've made, that might give them an indication as to, why they would be, in this kind of position. But obviously, we'll just have to wait and see. John Textor owns Lyon Palace. Yeah, Fofana was good against us in Europa. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be a few players that they're looking at. Just give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds. But yeah, there's going to be a few players that we're that, of course, Liverpool as well as other clubs are going, to be looking at. So let's get myself back up there. Let's get this up on the screen. Yeah, man. Like I said, man, the owner, John Textor, the thing is, with him, I don't know if he's put the clubs, both more Lyon, obviously, if he's put them both kind of in a precarious situation because of the situation that kind of happened with Crystal Palace, whether they were going to make Europa League or not. And there was this whole kind of like hoo-ha in and around it. That's going to be more interesting to kind of see, how that kind of, pans itself out. But let's take a look at this. Let's see if it'll bring it up. Is it going to show? Let's remove this. And let's put this up on the stage. Why is this not coming up? I'm trying to bring you guys the actual article in itself so we can kind of, just go through it. See if it's going to bring it up or not. For some reason, it's not doing so. There we go. Finally. All right. So let's kind of, go through it, because I wanted to read it as well, because I didn't really understand it from really any real perspective. I knew obviously kind of what's going on with Lyon. Obviously, I've been following them a little bit, this season. And I said, like, I thought that they were going to have sorted out this situation from quite a while ago. I didn't think that this situation would get to this point now. Now, obviously, you can see here, let's get this up now. All right, so let's go through it. So obviously, Lyon, along with several top League R sides, appeared before the National Management Control Directorate as they were questioned on their financial health. It has been decided that Lyon will be relegated to League Two, though Monaco, Nantes, and Paris FC escaped punishment. So Lyon weren't the only ones, that they were looking at. Last year, the Lyon reported debts of around 500 million, which is 418 million pounds, which is quite a lot of money. However, Eagles Football Group, the consortium that owns the French side, activated several financial levers to try and convince the DNCG that the situation at the club has drastically improved, including the sale of Textor's stake in Crystal Palace and Lyon's women's team. However, none of the above steps met DNCG's requirements, And after Lyon were provisionally relegated back in November, that has now been confirmed following this up-to-date financial review. As it says here, 500 million euros. So that's the kind of shit that they were in, in and around that kind of time. Let me bring on my guy. Big up Mike's in the building, man. Hope you're doing blessed, bro.
All good, bro. Just chilling today. All just good.
Just chilling.
Poor Lyon, man.
No.
I mean, this is a travesty.
Bro, it is absolutely crazy. Just give me 2 seconds. 2 seconds.
Yeah, good.
Guys, make sure you smash in the like button and make sure you go head on over to Michael Talks Football as well. Let me get your... Give me 2 seconds. Let's get Mike's take on this real quick. 2 seconds, Mike. There we go. But yeah, man, Mike, talk to the people, man. Just like kind of, obviously, before we dive in, I was just reading a little bit from the articles and stuff like that. But kind of, you know what I mean? Let us know from your perspective, what the hell is kind of going on, like what the dealio is and etc., man. From your perspective, anyway.
From my perspective, John Textor is an idiot. That's my perspective. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. And if you saw my video about this situation, I use an analogy that this guy is basically having so many contacts with girls. He's got this side chick, that side chick, that side chick, but he can't focus on one. Then they realize, oh, you're talking to everybody. And by the time he's like, oh, I should focus on one, they all left him. And that's basically what's happened to John Textor. He was focused on Botafogo. Then he went to Lyon and was trying to beef with Al Nassr from PSG. Then he's like, oh yeah, wait, I have Crystal Palace? Oh, let me try and sell them off too so I can make some funds to help with Lyon. Like John Textor. And this is my issue with sort of modern day football, is that while the multi-club ownership is a nice idea that you can send players there, you can bring them to the parent club if you want to say, clubs have fans. Lyon fans are pissed off right now. Do you think Boavista fans or Bordeaux fans are pissed off right now? Girona, who made the Champions League last season, basically got nuked. Citigroup couldn't care less. They made the money to go to the Champions League. They basically did some bullshit to get Savinho into the club, and they didn't pay any money for it. So a lot of these clubs around the world, they're being heavily affected by multi-club ownership. And for Lyon, I don't know what John Textor is thinking. He spent 150 million last summer, 150 million on Lyon transfers, and they only made, I think, 60 million. So they knew they were in a financial constraint. So what did they do? Oh, they spend more money, and more money, and more money. So the problem for French football right now is the TV deal is ass. It's worth nothing. They get less than 1 million. Can you imagine, that the streaming service gets 500,000 subscribers? 500,000. Yeah. Do you know how little money that is for an entire league? That's why they had to go from 20 teams to 18 teams so that they could obviously give away much more money, transfers, and all that sort of nonsense. So I think for Lyon, they went too crazy with the money, and it's completely backfired on them. There is no reason why they would do this. Why would they want to send Lyon down? It is one of the biggest commercial revenues for Ligue 1. They wouldn't do this unless they know financially they are screwed. So I think the DNCG, which is basically the financial party for French football, I think they're actually doing Lyon a service here, because they know if they keep getting away with this, they'll be even in more trouble and more trouble. And that's why John Textor, he had to sell off the women's team. He had to sell off his stake with Crystal Palace. So I think it's just been stupid spending along with the poor TV deals that Lyon have had. I mean, they spent, I think, 30 or 20 million on Ernest Nwama from Nordsjælland in Denmark. So this is the issue with John Textor and his people. It's just sad. It really is sad that they've gotten to this situation. And if they go down, I don't know if they're going to get back up immediately. I feel like they're going to be like Schalke, Deportivo La Coruña. I mean, they got a sick academy. You know they got a transfer ban, right? They can only sign free players. Yeah. So, I mean, their academy needs to come up clutch once again. But, I mean, French football is getting stronger and stronger. And I think they're not going to be the only team. It happened to Bordeaux. I wouldn't be shocked if it happens in the future to, like, a Lille, even though Lille seem to be more financially safe because they actually spend money wisely, like, compared to Lyon right here. I think Lyon are just their own worst enemy. They thought they could get bigger, and their aspirations was to get Champions League money. When they couldn't get the Champions League money, this is what happens.
Hey, but the thing is, okay, so I'll ask you this here because obviously you speaking about the transfers, and I was intrigued to find out like what kind of deals were you guys doing? Like, obviously, but I've also got to remember this isn't PSG or one of the the clubs who can spend a lot of money. If I'm looking here, look, 22-23. So Texter came December
22.
19th, 22, right? So let's say from 2023 January onwards, right? But these are the kind of deals that they were doing anyway in the 22-23 season. Bro, they let Paqueta go, 42 million, it says here. Malo Gusto, 30 million. Lee Dubois, obviously 2.5, and then obviously just a few low ones. But those two top ones, that brings in you 70 million. They didn't really spend that much in, let's say, the 22-23 season. So that season, I would say, okay, I think it was, look, they're in plus 79.85 million in terms of, no, sorry, that's how much they spent. And then 32 million is how much they...
so they made a profit of 47, I think.
47, yeah. So I'm thinking, okay, 47, that's pretty decent. Then we go to the next season. So this is 23-24. This is when they started spending a bit of money. I mean, Gift Orban, Jesus Christ, 40. I forgot about him. I actually fully forgot about him. Malick Fofana, obviously 19.5. But they sold Bradley Barcola. They sold Lukeba. They sold Favrier. That's a lot of money. What's that? 75, 90 million right there. 95, 99, 100. That's over 100 M's you've sold players for, and you've only spent, I say only, but they've spent about 80 million of that money. So you're in and around 20 odd million in terms of things. So really, in the first 2 years, that's, you know what I mean? You're still kind of making money, so to speak. You're not losing money, in these first 2 years. If we carry on here, there we go.
Last summer is when they spent crazy.
This is where they fucked up. If you guys can see here, let me make the screen a little bit bigger. There we go. As you guys can see here, look, Mike's already said, look, Niakite, 31.9. Ernest Numa, 28 mil. Is that the one? Is he the Ghanaian one?
Yeah, the Ghanaian. And that's also some bullshit transfer because John Texter owns that RNDM from Belgium. So it was some dodgy transfer too.
Was he the one that cried because he didn't want to go to... Was it him? One of the players didn't want to go. They were trying to sell him. And he wanted to, I think he was going to go Fulham or Forest, and he didn't want to go. And he ended up like crying.
Oh, was it Everton for Ernest Nwama?
Was it Everton? I couldn't remember which team it is.
I can't remember if it was Ernest Nwama or somebody else, but I think there were some rumors that Ernest Nwama wanted to go to Everton last summer, if I'm not mistaken.
There you go. But look at that. 147 million. 0.79 that they spent, and this is how much they sold last year, only 68. So now they're in minus regardless. In minus regardless, and I think, well, clearly that's obviously having a crazy impact. I mean, they've just sold obviously Shirky to Manchester City for peanuts, and to be honest, that whole deal, even in itself, when we looked at it, everyone was like, "Wow, you're selling Ryan Shirky for that amount? Like that is chicken change in comparison to what he's probably actually." Worth to the club. And then obviously everybody wants to buy a Malick Fofana as well. You see, obviously, like I said, Mike's the guy, if you guys want to know more about, just football in and around Europe, right? So I'll ask you this. When we're looking at a team like Lyon, is the DNCG, is this, because obviously, as you said, they're massively marketable, obviously in League R, right? They're one of the bigger historic clubs. Is something like this something they need to do? Because you mentioned before that they're doing Lyon a favor. Do you think it's going to have that impact on them? I.e., is this going to be a good thing? I.e., get your slap on the wrist now, get relegated now, nice and quickly, and then you can work your way up? Or do you think that this might have a detrimental, i.e., AFC Wimbledon type of vibe?
Or Leeds United.
Or Leeds United, where they took years. Obviously, there's not that many, leagues that they've been knocked down, but still, it could take them a little while to get back up to to the top league.
I honestly have no clue, G, what's going to happen. I'm really fear this can go either way. I don't think anybody can predict it because they can't make transfers. That's like the sad part. It's like they can't make transfers. Maybe some players that are on a free, they can sign them. Obviously, their academy is elite. I wanted to go through their academy actually and just tell you some of the balls that came through there.
Yeah, please.
But the issue for Lyon is I don't trust that owner. I don't trust John Textor. I think the guy, like Nasir Al-Khelafi said, he's a cowboy. And he's a dumb cowboy. He thinks he can just spend money and there's no what's the word I'm looking for? Blowback, basically. Yeah. Repercussion, that's the word. Yeah, there's no repercussions for all this stupid spending. Oh, we can just spend. You don't, unfortunately for Lyon, they're not marketable like PSG. PSG bring in all the money off the field. Shirt sales, sponsors. Yes, you can say it's like money laundering with all the sponsors they get. They still get the sponsorship money. For Lyon, they're not marketable right now. They're not. Neither is the league. The only team in Ligue 1 that is marketable is PSG. That's why they're able to go get a Kvara, a Barcola, a Desiree Doué. It's hurting the league, of course. Like, Ligue 1 is in a very, very difficult position because the TV deal is just ass. And I think that's going to affect a lot of teams. Only PSG will not be affected, and Monaco, because both of those clubs have money. But for Lyon and their future, obviously they're going to appeal this, and let's see if some John Texter is going to do some shady deals to generate some money. But if they don't win the appeal, all those players are leaving. Mika Dautse, Fofana, Almada. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think. Ernest Nwama. I love Almada, bro. I would take him at Liverpool a heartbeat. I think he should go to like AC Milan or something. But all of these players will leave. You're going to lose so much quality. Then you're going to have to look at free transfers. Then you're going to have to look at your academy and be like, hey, save us. It's not always a guarantee that these big clubs, like a Schalke, like a Deportivo La Coruña, you can go on and on with these names. When they get dragged into the mud, sometimes they're just in quicksand and they can't get out. And I feel like Lyon, it's either they're going to bounce back immediately, get back into Ligue 1, and then just be like a mid-table team, or they'll be stuck in the second division for 3 to 4 years as they're trying to resurrect the situation, trying to figure out the financial issues behind the club. And it could get worse. Like, you just cannot trust this owner at the moment. I feel really bad because if you want to have like the equivalent of like in England of Lyon going down, I think it's Arsenal going down. If Arsenal got relegated, I think this would be the same thing. Can you imagine the meltdown that people would have? The fact that Lyon finished 6th or 7th last season, this is the sad part about it. It's not based on how they performed on the field. This is all off-field bullshit that didn't affect the players, didn't affect the fans. It's just stupidity. It really is, and I don't know what the future holds for them. I really fear that they could be like a Deportivo La Coruña. Like, obviously, Bordeaux got absolutely... They had to basically go into administration liquidation because their owner was stupid as well. It could be the same thing for Lyon. They could just be dragged into the mud. But I just wanted to quickly say that their academy is ridiculous, G. Some of the players that they've had come through their academy, like Benzema, I think Hugo Lloris came through there, Umtiti, Cherki, Tolisso. Obviously, and Ndombele was a baller when he was at Lyon, but Ndombele, that guy when he was at Lyon, highly rated. So they've had some incredible talents come through their academy. I mean, their academy is going to have to produce 3 to 4 ballers. I mean, those are some of the players that have played there, but I mean, yeah, Malouda. I forgot about Malouda and Fekir. Wow. Sick, bro, man, sick. Essie. Oh, yeah, I forgot about Essie. And yeah, he was at Lyon before going to Chelsea.
Before going to Chelsea.
Yeah.
I used to love playing as Lyon on Pro Evo. That's how you know it was so long ago, because of Bastos. His left foot playing down that left-hand side, like that was actually mad. Big up Iliab in the building. Like,
it
some ballers. Like, let's not get it twisted. And Mike's obviously talking there, about the academy, and I was just looking at the teams and thinking, nah, it's actually peak for you guys. Like, the kind of situations that you've been in. This is obviously, look, Ferland Mendy, they've had their...
Look at that side. Are you kidding me, bro? That if they were, all those players were in their prime playing for Lyon, they would walk the league. They would compete with PSG easily.
Of course.
Like, I don't think people understand how good Umtiti was before he basically sacrificed his knees for the 2018 World Cup. Umtiti was one of the best center backs in the world. So, yeah, look, their academy is elite, but it's just like that sort of mental stress when you're in that second division and there's so much pressure because you're easily the biggest. Like they're gonna play Dunkirk. People don't know who Dunkirk are. They didn't even obviously they know it from World War II, but they didn't even know that they had a football club. They're going to be competing with Dunkirk and these sort of teams like Lorient. So it's really pitiful for Lyon. Do you think it's a good comparison that they're basically like Arsenal? If Arsenal were relegated, it would be the same thing.
Yeah. Because of who Lyon are, obviously he's talking contextually in terms of who they are in their league. But yeah, I'd probably say
Yeah.
like an Arsenal because they're one of the bigger clubs in the league. They're not the biggest, but they're one of the bigger clubs, and they're very historic in terms of first recent times, but also just historically in terms of the type of players Arsenal have obviously had. So yeah, if they were to get relegated, Jesus Christ, like the meltdown would honestly the meltdown would be we know how it is with Arsenal fans anyway in terms of social media. That meltdown, I don't think you can ever get back from it. Now, Lyon, obviously, I know their fans very boisterous. By the way, they're definitely going to want them to appeal and get the situation sorted. But what I wanted to ask you is, obviously, we know obviously the situation with Crystal Palace. Do you know anything in regards to that in terms of, first of all, what was the actual issue as to why they may have been kicked out of the Europa League? And then now, because Lyon have been relegated, has that situation changed?
Honestly, I don't think anybody has a clue what's going on with if they're going to play Europa League or not for Crystal Palace. I hope they do because I think that would just be sick seeing European football at Selhurst Park, and G will definitely be going there as a fan of the club. But it's just I don't know really. They're not being transparent about that situation. Now, obviously, the issue is the club is owned by the same owner. Obviously, John Textor doesn't have a huge percentage of ownership with Crystal Palace, and obviously he's now trying to sell it to an even worse American owner. Yeah, he's trying to sell it. I think he's selling it to the New York Jets owner, who's even worse, by the way, G. Oh, this guy's by far the worst NFL owner out there. So, Crystal Palace fans, I warn you right now, he is a terrible owner.
Okay. Well, when you say worse, in what sense is he worse?
Oh, he just doesn't know how to run a organization. Like, you ask any Jets fan, G, they're basically like Tottenham, but like 10 times worse. 10 times worse. Okay. Think of the market they're in. They're in New York City, but they're run terribly with poor decision. I think they've had like, I want to say 5 to 10 different head coaches in the last 15 years. And they're constantly bringing in new players. So yeah. And I think for Crystal Palace and the Lyon situation, it's basically because of John Textor. That's why they were trying to figure out whether they could play European football. I actually don't know what's going to happen now, if they're going to be able to play, because John Textor is trying to sell his stake. Hopefully they do. I mean, if RB Salzburg and RB Leipzig are both allowed to play in the Champions League, surely Crystal Palace and Lyon are both able to play in Europa League. Now, I think Lyon are trying to get through with the UEFA financial situation as well, that they're allowed to play even though they'll be in the second division. Who knows? Let's find. I'm not 100% sure on that situation. I think they're gonna come to a conclusion. I think the end of this month or early next month. I think if Crystal Palace are allowed to play. If I'm gonna be honest, I think they're gonna allow Crystal Palace to play, and probably Lyon are not gonna be allowed to play in the competition.
But it's so mad because technically speaking, Lyon being relegated shouldn't actually have an impact on them playing European.
No, it's the financial issue that's the problem for Lyon.
Okay.
Yeah, because then the UEFA will look at their financial, I think, sheet or something like that if they're viable to play in the competition. So I think that's something like that. I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, right. Well, if that's the case, listen. As Mike said, yes, I will be in at Selhurst Park next season.
I might have to join you for that, bro. I might have to join you for that, bro. That's a vibe.
Listen, I'm telling you guys right now. I know. Listen, everyone always banters me, and that's fine. I'll take that. But what I will tell you guys right now, atmosphere-wise, it's one of the best stadiums you will go to in England. I'm not.
Oh no,
like, and
it's the best in
my bias.
It's the best in the Premier League for me.
No, bro, the vibe is. I'm talking win, lose, or draw. The fans are the same. There is none of this like, oh, we're losing. You hear boos and all this stuff. No. These guys, like, you'll hear the drums, like you'll hear the noise, like from the ultras or whatever you want to call them, like on that side. Oh, bro, it's mad. It is actually mental.
Yeah.
It's actually mental, man. So I would tell people, if you ever get opportunity and you're in South London, trust me, go to a Palace game. You won't be
But I think Crystal
disappointed.
Palace definitely dodged a huge bullet avoiding John Textor as the majority owner. I think they dodged a huge bullet because while that guy has done very well for Botafogo, like they won the Brasileiro last year, they won the Copa Libertadores, they did the double. I mean, the team got basically nuked over the winter transfer window with all the players selling, the manager leaving. So it might be good for one season and he could be a historical season. Afterwards, you can't trust this guy. He's just a dumb cowboy. And that's the problem with some of these owners. They just have too big of an ambition with some of these plans or some of these projects that they have, that they don't focus on one objective. That's why if you have like owners, like the Liverpool owners with FSG, I don't want FSG going to buy Getafe. Just focus on Liverpool.
Yeah,
You already have it.
okay.
You already have beef with the Red Sox with the Red Sox fans. Just focus on Liverpool, and that should be the same thing. Obviously, for City Group, some of their clubs are doing well, but some of their clubs are in dire straits at the moment. Like their team in France, Troyes, I think they're in the third division right now. The fans rioted against them, so it's very, very difficult. This multi-club ownership. I'm gonna actually do a very deep dive video on that whole situation about like yeah. So just giving like examples around the world of like good and bad, but this is another example of the multi-club ownership going very poorly in Lyon's case.
But okay, just quickly before we look at Lyon's squad, yeah. Why wouldn't you want to own, or why wouldn't you want Liverpool to own a Getafe though? Because you know Liverpool's going to be their primary anyway. Getafe will just be like,
To be
something like,
G,
like a pet project.
I'm not like a hardcore Liverpool fan where yes, oh Liverpool do this, do this. I'm thinking about Getafe fans. Getafe will get relegated. I can guarantee you this. FSG will not care about Getafe. They'll just have it in their little projects. They'll have it in a nice little room in Boston. Oh, look, we own Getafe in Spain. They couldn't name you one player. They couldn't name you the stadium. And I can guarantee you they'll neglect the team and they'll get relegated. I'm just merely thinking about Getafe fans, the 5,000 that there are in this world, but I'm just more worried about them. It's not about Liverpool, like, oh yeah, for Liverpool, okay, own Getafe. But, you know, Getafe don't really play Liverpool football. If anybody knows, Getafe play probably the most terroristic ball in all of Europe. I mean, Bordalez is a terrorist in himself, but I don't want it because I just don't want it to affect that club. And then it's a bad image on our owners. Like Liverpool, like FSG, just focus on Liverpool. Just focus on them.
Yeah. No. That's absolutely.
Like, would you want FSG to own Getafe?
It doesn't really bother me in terms of, I'm a bit like you. I'm like, eventually it will just be a bad thing for Getafe down the line. Like it might help Liverpool in the short term because everybody thinks, obviously, when you get like Strasbourg and Chelsea, I think everybody looks at that now and says, yeah, I want a piece of that. I want my team to own this random club and then we can do this, that, and the third. But I'm like, yeah, I don't know if it's going to work out, you know, in the same kind of way. And eventually what's going to happen is that club that we were loaning the players out to, they're just going to, you know, as you say, get relegated at some point in time. Are they playing the exact same football as us? No. So is it even worth them even going there? Bro, there's too many variables, man. Just as you said, focus on Liverpool. That's all I actually, you know, even care about. All right. What players do you think are leaving? Let me get the players in position.
Oh, by the way, Fonseca, the manager, has had a crazy year. Just a crazy year. Yeah, gets hired by Milan, gets sacked by Milan, goes to Lyon, gets a 9-month ban from the sideline, and now he's going to be managing in the second division.
Now he's going to be, bro. He must be thinking, yeah, I must have.
He's cursed.
Yeah, like I must have had.
He needs to visit some voodoo doctor, bro. That's what he needs to do.
Yeah, bro, he needs to visit someone. Or is he the curse for Lyon? Because since he kind of, who knows? Let me not go down. Let me not go down that route. But yeah, he's had a mad time. Yeah. So we'll go through. So yeah, who do you think is liable to kind of keep it moving?
No, I'm gonna be honest. None of the defenders. Okay. I feel like they're gonna keep a couple of them. Tagliafico, he probably will go back to Argentina. I do like Abner, the left back, but he doesn't get a lot of minutes for Lyon nowadays. He could probably stay at Lyon and maybe fight for a spot. Tanner Tessman just moved there. Wow, man, that guy is also cursed. No, Matic, Tolisso, Veretout, they might all stay there as well. I honestly think Ernest Nwama, but
Tolisso,
yeah, he's just...
You think Tolisso would stay? You think
I don't. Who's going to take him?
Del Piero one? Like,
Yeah. He is a Lyon guy, so I think he will kind of stay there with the club.
Okay. Good.
Ernest Nwama coming back from ACL, so I don't think he's going to go. I think it's going to be Fofana, Almada, and Mikadautse. I think those three players are all going to leave for like 15 and less million.
You think 15 and less?
Yes, they got relegated. They don't have any power in the negotiations. They're like, oh yeah, we have to just take any money.
That is nothing though.
I know, but they got no pull in this. They got no say in the negotiations. It's like, okay, just take the player. We need the money. That's what's going on here. Yeah, so Lacazette is leaving on a free. So
yeah, he's fine.
They only got really 3 assets here that they can sell off Lyon. It sucks for them.
Well, okay, fair enough, because if they were able to sell Ryan Cherky for 25 or whatever it was, then fair enough. Yeah, probably that. But fucking hell, 15 or less. Boy, Liverpool might as well just say, let's just grab all 3. Let's just grab all 3. No, bro, as in we'd be helping you out and helping ourselves out, because everybody wants Malick Fofana anyway. Mikawatse, I think, would be a good, decent striker that we can obviously get in, regardless of whether you get in another striker after that. Obviously, Malick Fofana. I like Almada. I can't lie. As in, I would.
I think that kid is a baller, bro. That kid is such a baller.
You guys asked for a free kick taker. There's your free kick taker right there. You can.
He only scored screamer. But can you imagine, G? Had they won that game against Manchester United, and if they went on to win the Europa League, I think it would be such a different outcome here. Because then they would get the Europa League money. They win the trophy. They qualify to the Champions League. Maybe that helps with the financial side of things. I think that game completely changed the fortunes for Lyon. It's just crazy. Like 5 minutes, your club's history is completely turned.
That's kind of crazy when you deep it as well, because it was literally the last. Who scored the winning goal? Was it Harry Maguire?
Yeah, Maguire. Yep, Kobe Manu equalized, and Harry Maguire won it.
Can you imagine? Harry Maguire is the reason why you are now potentially sitting in League 2. Because if they had faced Tottenham in the final, I reckon they can win that game.
Yep.
I reckon.
Who would they have played in the semi-final? Athletic Club.
As Michael, yeah.
Athletic Club, they would have played semi-final.
Yeah. I still think they would have beaten them anyway, because on the pitch here, Lyon were actually pretty decent. They had a kind of a rocky start at the beginning of the season. But as they kind of grew into the season, they were pretty decent. Like they were,
they were top. They were top 3 in the Ligue 1 until the Manchester United game. They were top 3 certified, and after that game, they fell off a cliff. They completely capitulated league form wise.
It's actually mad. And like I said, I do feel it for. I feel it for Lyon, but also I just feel it for, like, obviously now, as you said, you just said 15 mil or less, and I'm sitting there thinking, that's so crazy, man. Like, for them to lose this kind of top talent. And do you think there's a way, and this is a broad question, by the way, so I don't really expect you to have an answer like that, but is there a way that we can kind of stop this? Because it seems to happen to some of the most historic, we're not even talking like this happened to Man City or a PSG who just came yesterday. Not yesterday, but you know what I mean? Like in terms of new money type of club. We're talking about clubs who are, like, this is Lyon we're talking about. Like, this is one of the most historic clubs in Europe, let alone in France in itself. Is there a way to kind of combat this? Or because I'm the reason I asked this is because yesterday I saw a conversation, right, and people were talking about Aston Villa, their PSR issues, Newcastle, their kind of PSR issues, right? And the gist of the conversation was more centered around, well, the reason why they're probably in these kind of situations is because, the Premier League don't want there to be a big 8, a big 10. They kind of just need it as a big 6, the big 6 or the top 6 clubs in England. And then obviously we can market, football that in that kind of way. We don't really need an extra kind of team coming in and trying to upset that kind of apple cart. Is there a way to kind of combat this, bro?
I think
Or is
for
it just
Aston
shit
Villa,
owners? Like, is it generally just
yeah,
shit owners?
I think it's just stupidity. I really think it's stupidity, and these guys need to go to university. I mean, I don't know how some of these guys have like a master's or PhD. Well, we need to figure it out, G. I mean, I only have a bachelor's degree in my university degree, and I can figure out not to spend 20 million on Gift Orban. I can realize that, right? He had a good season with
Hold
Gift.
on, where is Gift Orban these days? But I thought he was decent when he trained.
I think he was on loan at Hoffenheim last season, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's just it's just stupidity. Like you see Bordeaux, like the owner just doesn't care. He didn't want to spend any money. He didn't want to sell off the stadium. He couldn't even buy the stadium because that was the big issue for Bordeaux. You know what he did? You know the club Boa Vista in Portugal, one of the only clubs outside the top 3 to win Liga Portugal this century. They got relegated. They could not pay anything with their electricity. They couldn't even train in their own training ground because they couldn't pay the electricity. So we could talk about, oh, why can't Aston Villa, Newcastle spend? I think that's a Premier League issue that maybe it's just the high wages that those clubs have. And I'm not like so familiar with finances in the Premier League. But I think around Europe, it's just stupid owners. It's just stupid owners. Look at Lyon. I mean, we can go look at Malaga. Malaga were a top team in 2012, 2013. They pumped in a lot of money. They signed Isco, Van Nistelrooy, all these players. The owners, the Qatari owners, forgot about them, and they went down, 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 all the way to the 3rd division. And now they're back up in the Segunda División. So I think it's just owners, and G is only going to continue. We're going to see other big clubs around the world. This is why people can be very, very critical of Bundesliga, right, with the fan ownership. But at least they got a say in their club. They can say to some sugar daddy owner, we don't want you here. We want to be financially good, have our players, have a good environment, and continue doing our thing. Look at Leeds United. Leeds United spent all that money in the early 2000s, and then they went down because of financial issues, kept going down. They went all the way down to the 3rd division. And I'm sure some other club, like the same thing could happen to Nottingham Forest. Gee, if they have a bad season after spending all this money, if they have one bad season, they could get into financial problems. Then players could leave. They get relegated. Then Marinakis, the owner, could forget about them and just solely focus on Olympiacos. They get relegated down to the 3rd division. It's going to happen again and again to some clubs around Europe. And it's just a sad reality that these owners, they don't care. And they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand football and what it takes. They think they can just pump in the money and there's no repercussions for it.
What's the is it like I was gonna say, is it like Sheffield Wednesday with
but that I think that owner doesn't spend any money, and he's like, you guys, you guys figured out yourself, the fans. Same thing to Reading as well.
Yeah, Reading, like it's mad, isn't it? Like you got owners who will pump money into a club, but they'll do it not responsibly. Then you got ones who don't pump any money at all whatsoever, and they're like, listen, man, you guys figure it out. Just bring me my money come the end of this. I've got other business ventures anyway. So you guys are more just a hobby more than anything else. Like, it's so crazy in terms of this. You're right. University is kind of wild, by the way. But I do think that there needs to be, and there supposedly is, there needs to be this kind of what's the phrase they use, man? If you are not fit and competent, but there's like a phrase that they use for any ownership. So any new ownership. So Newcastle had to go through when they were going through the Saudi consortium, they have to go through like a fit and proper type of test in order to see, are these guys going to be good enough in terms of just owners in general? Like, forget how good or bad they actually are in the end. Just, are they competent enough to be able to, do this job? But there needs to be a lot more of a stricter kind of way things are done, because it's just happening too much, and that's kind of pissing people off. Michael, is that your official FSG?
Hey, if they bring me Isaac into the club, I'll get FSG and tattooed.
Listen, don't say that too loud.
I would never do that.
Listen, look, it's one of the Lyon. It's one of those situations, and as we know, and as Mike said before, there's probably only, in terms of the good players anywhere in the team, there's about 3 players in there that I guess most people are going to want: Armada, Mikoatse, and of course Malick Fofana. 3 players that I think on a normal transfer window, they would cost you a pretty penny to sign. Like, that's upwards of 40 to 50 million really for all of them. If they weren't in the financial situation that they were in, to me anyway, I look at all of them and think, well, Malick Fofana, you only just signed him recently, so your minimum gonna want is double back. They signed him for about 20 odd mil, just a bit under. So you'd
They just
want
signed Mikadalce as well.
And would you sign Mikadalce for Liverpool?
Yeah, I would. Okay. I think he's a baller. He misses a lot of chances, but I think the guy is an absolute baller, man. I think, you know what? I would love to see him go to Juventus. I think the Juventus would be a good option. Be a backup to Kolo Muani if they're able to sign Kolo Muani. I think he would be good there.
He would be. You know, Juventus I need to do a video on them because this season they've just been absolutely all over the gaff. I mean, Thiago Motta, I thought he was going to be like a new tactical. He was going to bring something so different to Juventus, and then everything just went to shits. They sold players that they shouldn't have sold. And I was just like, yeah, you lot.
Oh man,
completely, fuck.
No, that's the thing, G. Like, just for some clubs, the way they're run is just poor, and I think they just try and hire people that are either good financially or they're good with these analytics. Oh my God, look at the analytics of this player. Look at the finances of this guy. He can really run a club well. You have to sort of have a feel for football. I think that's why, like, a guy like Maldini at Milan, he could deal with the finances, but he understood how to build a team. He understood the psyche of a footballer. I don't think Lyon have done that. I think Juventus are just stupid as well. You could look at other clubs around the world, like Manchester United. They don't have a clue what they're doing, but they spend money. So that's why you can be critical of FSG, but they are hiring the right people to run the club. Same thing with Manchester City. You see what Manchester City did initially. They said, okay, we're going to sign the players for the first team, but we're also going to bolster our academy because that can bring us pure profit in the end. Look what their academy does. I mean, freaking Chelsea have signed 5 of their former academy players at this rate.
It's mad. Like, and that was one thing. And big up everybody inside the building. We are going to head out very, very soon. That's one thing I always liked about Manchester City in the way that they've done things. And also, even when they got in Pep Guardiola, they got in a team around him in terms of not football players. I'm talking the guys in the boardrooms, bringing over people from Barcelona, people that he's worked with previously, so that he can at least do his job to the best of his abilities in terms of players or the tactics and what the team do, on the football pitch. But you're right about the academy. That's why I'll be honest, in terms of talent-wise, I look at, obviously there's too many clubs to go through, but in terms of talent-wise, I look at Manchester City and I say, you know why you lots are probably up there with like some of the best? Because you seem to have the players that are going to play in first teams very quickly, as opposed to some other clubs in terms of their talent. They're not really first team ready, like to jump into your team straight away, but they'll get there at some point, but they're not really ready. Look at Romeo Lavia, for example. One season at Southampton, all of a sudden, the whole world wanted him. And that was after one season that we saw him at Southampton. So you're like, oh, okay, wow, where did that kind of come from? No worries. Liam Delap, he's now moved now to Chelsea for 30 odd million. You're like, oh, okay, there's another player, kind of in there. So they've got this kind of track record of having these young players. I think McAtee as well. I'm sure he's gonna potentially leave anyway. Come this summer.
Oscar Bob,
game time. Oscar Bob, like they've got so many of these players. I'm like, boy, you guys really know how to pick the talent first and foremost. But the fact that you're able to nurture them to this point where even if you do sell them, you're selling them one for profit, as Michael said. But these are ready players. Like these are players who can play today. Not, he's going to go out to League Two and we're never going to see him again. And we're just going to hear the story that he used to play for Manchester City and all of this, kind of nonsense. But listen, man, it is what it is. And as Mike said as well, you have to kind of big up FSG in a sense. But I'm going to leave that there because I don't want anyone to DM me any hateful words. Moving forward, man.
I just wanted to say, G. I think that the FNGC, the French financial for the football, I think they're actually right in this situation. They could have easily just bowed down to the size of Lyon and said, "Hey, you're a big club. You bring some marketability to the league. We'll let you get away with this one. Maybe in a couple of years we'll rehash it and look at your finances again." They said no. You guys are really screwed. Now, obviously, we don't know the full financial circumstances that they're in at the moment. Obviously, the 500 million in debt was way back in November. But I got to credit to them because they could have easily just buckled down. It's funny that they settled this in a year, but Manchester City's 115 is still going on. Anyways, FNGC, they just gotta be strict, and they're doing the right thing here. And I think other leagues are doing the same thing. La Liga, say what you want about their boss, the dude is terrible, but also he's very strict, and he understands we cannot allow clubs like Deportivo La Coruña or a Malaga situation to happen again. We got to be financially strict on these teams because they have to go by the rules. Obviously, some clubs like Barcelona, they don't sometimes play by the rules, but we'll let them get away with one or two in these circumstances. I think for England, I'm looking at the Premier League. It's funny. It's fun doing all this spending right now, but some clubs will get screwed over in the future. You'll see, like in 5 to 10 years. Right now, everybody's happy. We're living in La La Land. Everybody's in Disneyland spending all this crazy money. Eventually, some clubs are going to get screwed over. You'll see it.
No, Fez. No, Fez. I didn't really like the shot at Barcelona, but okay, Fez. Yeah, no, I hear,
hey, G. When Christensen was basically said, "Hey, you have an ACL injury for the entire year, and we could sign register Dani Olmo," there's some fishy stuff going on there. That whole Dani Olmo,
Michael.
G. That whole Dani Olmo situation in the Supercopa was crazy. By the way, remember when Laporta was like celebrating?
Yeah. No. Listen. Just so that everyone in the chat doesn't think something funny is going on. He had an injury, so there was no point in registering this player knowing that he had an injury. So Barcelona thought, you know what? Let's use that spot that we've got for Christensen because he did have a spot. We're going to use it for Dani Olmo. It's really simple. Don't listen to Michael. Don't listen to Savage. They're just haters. I don't know why. I don't know what their beef is with Barcelona.
Nico, don't go.
Who's bigger, Lyon or Marseille?
Oh no, Marseille.
I would have said that as well. Yeah. Marseille
they got a Champions League.
Yeah, Champions League. Yeah.
I mean, it was a fishy Champions League, but it's a Champions League. Very dodgy one. Let's say it that. But Lyon were probably the most dominant domestic team of the 2000s. Yeah. Across Europe. Yeah. Nobody could compete with them.
They were actually doing a madness. Delat was from Derby, Lavia. Yeah. They do have a lot of players they've obviously signed, but that's what I mean is that they're able to pick these kind of talents who are, for example, no one else is picking up Lavia. Do you get me? Like no one else seemed to pick him up. Like he just seemed to somehow go under this kind of radar, and he went to City in the end, kind of thing. From, as you say, from Anderlecht. Delat was a bargain at 30 mil. I'm still not convinced of Delat like that, but yeah, fair enough. I'm not gonna.
I think it's a good deal for 30 million in today's market. I think it's a good deal. Now, will he be world class? That's a different discussion. No. I think it's a good deal.
I'm not saying, because it's funny because Jerry asked me this yesterday. It's not. I don't need him to be world class. By the way, I don't. It does that part doesn't really bother me, kind of thing, because not everybody can be world class. But I just don't see it with a player like Liam Delap. Like I think in the youth teams, in the youth setup, he was really, really good. He was like a bully. He was bigger than everybody. He was stronger than everybody. Like he was just a bully in the youth setup. But obviously this is men's football. He still is kind of a bit of a bully, but I just don't think that you have I'm going to say the minerals, really. But again, I could be completely wrong. And listen, as far as I'm concerned, I hope he doesn't do well anyway because he's playing for Chelsea. But in terms of in a broader aspect, yes, I hope you do well, do your thing. He's going to have a career regardless. So, it is what it is. Gittins is still available. Yeah, Gittins or Fofana. Who would you take?
Gittins.
Ooh.
Yeah. By the way, former Manchester City Academy player too.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why he's. That's even. The Lap is a homegrown player, so cheap. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I get it from that aspect. Like from a purely business aspect, I get the whole Delap thing. Helps with homegrown. He's 30 million. It's a striker. He's competent enough, like for him to come in and do your thing. But I would still think that Chelsea are gonna, if they can get in another striker, I think Chelsea would get in another striker. I don't feel like they're gonna want to end the window with Nico Jackson and Liam Delap as their strikers. That doesn't really scream, let's try and go for challenging next season. I don't think so anyway. But again, I could be completely. Completely wrong.
I just want to say one last thing on this for Ligue 1. In the last 5 years, I think now for the next 10 to 20 years, PSG and actually Paris FC, they're going to dominate Ligue 1. They just have too much financial power over everybody else. But in the last 5 years, PSG, their net profit is minus 600 million. Lyon, for example, are 250 million in profit on transfers.
Wow. That's crazy.
Marseille are minus 153 million.
I bet that was from some of it from this season that deserved.
They spent 15 million. It was 22-23 season where they spent 85 million, or they made a loss of 85 million on transfers. So PSG are going to absolutely run this league unless Pogba and Ansu Fati somehow regain some form, but it ain't going to happen.
That's mad. But the thing is, I think that's why everybody always loves it when like the random team comes up in Ligue 1 and wins it, kind of thing, because it then makes it a bit more like, oh, okay, cool. Like, yeah, I mean, like whether it's a Lille or whoever, you just kind of look at it, or Monaco potentially. You look at those teams, you're like, yeah, you know, it's pretty good. But I remember when Monaco came, when Monaco had the money. Jesus Christ, I forgot about that.
I think Monaco are a sick team, and you obviously look at the sick players they had. I think when Lille won it, that was a shock. That was a massive shock when they won it. Yeah. But to be fair, since I think 15-16 season, the Premier League have had 3 different winners, and Ligue 1 have also had 3 different winners. So no Farmers League here.
I was just about to say, listen, we call it Farmers League, and the reality is in England, But listen, we'll leave it there anyway. Macron did an oil deal around 8 years ago, and League just scrapped financial rules. Yeah, I hear it.
Well, probably
guys,
for PSG,
make sure you head on over. Yeah, of course. Make sure you head on over to Michael Talks Football. Please, Michael's on. Make sure you do that video as well, because I want to.
Yeah, I might have to hire an editor for that one. I think that will be a very good video.
We need to
up the production.
Listen, we're entering into new stratospheres, man. Like new season coming soon. You never know, man. I might just pop up with a random video where the editing is just on a madness. But make sure you guys obviously head on over to Michael Talks. He has done a video on talking about Lyon as well. So make sure you guys obviously check that out. Michael, before you do go, who's winning the Club World Cup?
Oh, I'm gonna go with Man City. They'll win it.
I'm gonna go with PSG.
I think it will be a Man City PSG final.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I do think that if that happens, I think PSG will just edge it. But let's see, because we don't want It's funny because you don't want either team because of who they are and the money and blah blah blah. But you really don't want Manchester City winning the Club World Cup, because it just adds another string.
I forgot about the money that either of those two teams will make. It's going to be ridiculous.
Exactly. And they're already clubs who make too much money.
I really hope that Inter or Juventus could win it, because that could really be a defining moment for the transfer window for them, for either of those two teams.
Just quickly, because I need to do my research. So obviously Liverpool didn't qualify for this Club World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Will they now qualify for the next one?
It depends on
how do Juventus make it when how does it work?
Okay, so basically just quickly, UEFA basically made it so that only 2 teams maximum from each league. So obviously they went with Atletico Real Madrid. So they're basically they qualified based on their performances in the Champions League the last 4 years. So obviously Barcelona have done poorly the last 4 years in the Champions League. Atleti have done well. Juventus have done well. Inter. But then obviously they had to go max 2 teams per league. So that's why RB Salzburg, I think, were 23rd or 24th ranking. They were allowed to qualify based on that observation. So if Liverpool do well in the Champions League in the next 4 years, if you win it, you automatically qualify to the Club World Cup next time around.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
now they could probably change it for the qualification next time around, where they'll maybe allow 4 teams per league. But I think it was actually pretty good that they allowed 2 teams per league. I don't want to see 4 Premier League teams. I don't, because then I just have to hear from English media, "Oh, this competition is bullshit." Bro, just shut up, please. Look at the South American teams. Look at the CAF teams. Like these teams care about it. So let's not just say that. Oh, this team. Like obviously the competition is all about money, but for the South American teams and the CAF teams, bro, they were enjoying life. It was an absolute party for them.
I think remember this is the first one of this style of Club
expanded.
World Cup. Yeah, so once this one is done and we get to the next one in however many years that is, when we get to that one, I think it will be looked at potentially differently. But also as well, what makes it a bit difficult, I think, is that I was speaking with Steve the other day, and I was like, like you got to remember, everyone was talking about like fans and the atmosphere, and obviously Steve was telling me, he was like, bro, remember some of the games are going on like random Tuesday, like. Who the fuck's taking time off work to, you know what I mean? Like,
especially in America, you don't get time off work in America.
Exactly. So it's like, like I said I said to everybody, imagine a random Wednesday, like just in the middle of whatever month, right? And your kids have got school and you've got work, but guess what? At 3 p.m. on that Wednesday, whoever is playing, bro, you're not gonna be, like killing yourself to try and get to this game. Like it's gonna be very difficult for you to do so, especially because it ain't a holiday. It's just a random day of the week. So there's gonna be an issue with the whole, fan stuff. And on top of that, bro, these guys are playing bare football. Like we've just had the Nations League after the season. Vitinha has played Champions League final, Nations League final, and now he's in the Club World Cup. How much fucking football do you think these guys can realistically play at a high level? Come on.
Okay, well, that will be a discussion for another day, G. But in all honesty, it's down to the players. They can bitch and moan all they want, but if they really want to make a change, don't play. I'm sorry.
Yeah, true.
It's that simple. They are the ones that can dictate the rules. They can dictate how many games are played per season. So if they really want to change the players, you have to protest. You simply have to do it. But let's not complain if you're European players. I'm sure you've seen that graphic, G. Flamengo and Palmeiras have played 75 games before this Club World Cup. 75 games. Do you see them bitching and moaning about this competition? No, they're like, bring it on. Bring Bayern Munich on. Bring PSG on. We'll deal with them. Hey, they've been dealing with these teams so far, so I think it's... And then, Europeans complaining about the heat. My guys.
Yeah, no.
It ain't there. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's it.
That was hilarious, by the way. Dortmund and Bayern Munich are in the changing room. Like, come on, guys. You got to get a tan on.
This is, the thing is, that's typical European behavior, though, like, in terms of...
Yes, of course.
It's too hot and we can't do this. And guys, listen, let's get over that.
But
right.
Just quickly, are you enjoying it, the competition, or...?
I've not tuned in too much, but in the games I have tuned in, I'll be honest, I've only watched the PSG games. I haven't really taken any notice of anybody else. But I've liked, I like it anyway. I've only watched the highlights of every game, so I haven't in-depth anything for the tournament. But I like it. I like the fact that, like, the only thing I guess I don't like is, obviously I can tell the difference because these players have just finished playing a season, so I can kind of tell that they're not.
The intensity is not there.
Yeah, but I think that changes when we get to the next round, like when we get to quarterfinals, semi-finals. I think you'll start to see like the intensity levels will start to go up a bit. But I think it's fine. Like I've got no issues with it. Just like the Champions League, I like the format. I like this format as well. I'm like, yeah, this is fine. Like I don't have any real issues, but I see people moaning about it, and I'm like, bro,
of course,
like,
G. People just want to complain nowadays.
People want to complain, and I'm seeing Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United fans complaining. These times, if your team was in it, you'd want to win it. So the reality is, why are you complaining about something that if your team was here, you want to go out and, like I said, man, it's
crazy. I think they were saying that the next Club World Cup will be hosted in Brazil. I hope that happens. I think that would be a sick vibe.
That'd be cool. I mean, the World Cup was a vibe, so
it was such a vibe. I just hope FIFA don't expand. If FIFA expanded to 48 teams, I think that's going to be a travesty, though. You cannot allow two OFC teams to qualify to the Club World Cup. I'm sorry.
That's a bit too much, man. All right, guys, we're gonna head on out of here. Mike, you got anything today that you're gonna put out or any live?
No, not today. Yesterday, I uploaded a video on Jamaica. So if any Jamaicans are
I saw that Jamaican froze. I was like, what?
Yeah, man. I had to go with that title. I'm tired of these frauds, bro. I'm sorry. Just following Jamaican football. These guys are probably the most fraudulent national team in the world, alongside the Super Eagles. Those two teams, I can't stand them right now.
I went on Michael's page, yeah, and this is yesterday. I was just chilling, and I was like, oh, because I was thinking about doing the Lyon video, but something in my head said, I feel like Michael's done one. Let me go and watch it. So I've gone on your thing. The first video that comes up, Jamaica, I said, raw. Like, thank God I'm not Jamaican because I would have taken offense if I just saw that.
Nah, G. To be fair, most of the comments by the Jamaicans were like, "Hey, you're spot on." I said, "I know because I follow this national team. I know what these guys are on about. I know what they're on about." But yeah, soon I got a video. I think maybe tomorrow or Saturday. I think it's gonna be like 2 hours long, where I'm rating all of the transfers so far. So it's gonna be a very long video, just sort of dissecting all the transfers around Europe. There'll probably be another part 2 as well later this summer.
Listen, man, you guys make sure you stay locked in and stay tuned. I don't know when I'll be back. It'll be a surprise, so just keep your notification bells on, and we'll go from there. I might have a video dropping later. I might look at what player was that?
You should probably do like a video on what Juventus should do. G, that would be a good video.
Yeah.
Like which players to sell and which players to sign.
Okay, fuck it. I'm free this weekend anyway, so I've got time on my hands.
By the way, Yildiz, bro, Yildiz, monster season coming up.
Funny. It's funny because Eni was saying he wanted to sign. He was like, "Yo, bring me Yildiz straight away." I was like, "Bro, he's a good player." Though. He's like,
this kid is going to be unbelievable next season.
Yeah, and how much do you think he'd be worth right now, Mike?
Right now, 100 million.
Fucking hell. Yeah. I don't know about that. We just spent 100 million on Verts. I don't know if I really want to go spend 100 million on him right now.
Yeah, he's going to be 100 million at least.
But all right, yeah, I'll have a think about it, and then I'll keep you guys in touch. Big up to everybody who's obviously been joining us this last hour. Good morning to everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day. No one was live, so I don't know. Maybe Ends might do a stream at midday. If he does, make sure you guys head on over there. And I'll catch you guys soon, man. Peace.